Tonight on CFTK-TV News, Carney fast-tracks 2 Northwest BC projects, MP Ellis Ross weighs in on the future of Northwest LNG, and a neglected terrace property gets condemned.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Friday, September 12th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. 2 major Northwest BC projects were on the list of 5 projects to be prioritized by the federal government, but some are pointing out a lack of consensus. CTV's Rob Buffum explains.
Doubling production at the LNG Canada plant in Kitimat is one of the 5 major projects unveiled by Ottawa Thursday, getting fast-tracked approvals and potentially federal funding.
To get nation-building projects built faster.
Another BC project on the list, expansion of the Red Chris Critical Minerals Project in Northwest BC.
British Columbia is going to be the engine of the new Canadian economy that we're building, that's more independent, that is delivering to global markets.
The batch includes modular reactors at Ontario's existing Darlington nuclear generating station, expansion by the Port of Montreal, and a critical mineral mine in Saskatchewan. Not making the grade, yet at least an oil pipeline through BC, something Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has campaigned for. Thursday, she sounded an optimistic tone.
I thought finally they get it, because it's all the projects that have been difficult to build.
Smith, heartened that a Pathways Plus carbon capture project seen as a prerequisite for a new pipeline is on a secondary list, buoying her hopes that a pipeline could be coming too.
Just encourage Albertans to not lose faith in the process. Let's work together on it.
But not everyone's happy. Doubling production of LNG in Kitimat comes with inadequate Indigenous consultation, says the head of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs.
There was absolutely no effort at any substantive consultation with the First Nations people before these projects were contemplated, planned, and initiated.
Another set of major projects will get the thumbs up by Ottawa in time for Grey Cup in November. BC hopes to add hydroelectric transmission lines to Yukon and Alberta in that round.
And MP Ellis Ross wasn't surprised or overly impressed with Prime Minister Carney's announcement, and he says he believes all 3 major LNG projects in the works in the region are bound to go ahead.
Number one, because LNG Canada has been in the works now. Final investment decisions have been there for years. But number 2, both levels of government, federal and provincial, have been talking about reconciliation with First Nations for so many years, but they haven't delivered anything. And so here you got Haisla trying to deliver their own LNG project, and Niska trying to deliver their own project, and that's all wrapped up within this whole idea of reconciliation and being self-sustaining and being independent, getting away from the Indian Act, fortifying the treaty, for example. There's just been so much political talk over the years. I don't see how any level of government turns around and tells these 2 First Nations, no, you can't build. I can't see that happening.
A terrace home has been cleared and condemned following community concern and criminality. CFTK's Cale Maslin has the report.
Terrace's RCMP, bylaw officers, firefighters, and building inspector recently teamed up to clear several residents from a property located on the 3200 block of Monroe Street. The property had been considered a serious nuisance by other nearby properties due to concerns about safety, noise, and criminality. In an interview with Terrace Mayor Sean Bouitosh, he confirmed that issues with that property were not new and gave more detail on the events leading up to the residents being forced out.
It's been a while, and we've been working on this, and we have to go through our own policies as well. So, letters were given to the property owners, asking them to remediate the property, and no action was done. And then last week there was a final 7-day notice to remediate the property and get it cleaned up, and nothing was done. So that in turn gave us the ability to move in and disconnect services and board the house up and ask the people that were in the house to leave.
Several inspections at the property also saw the discovery of fire hazards and other life safety hazards. The property has since been secured in order to prevent unauthorized access, and the Terrace RCMP are asking anyone who notices people trying to get into the place to call them at 250-638-7400. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
A Kitimat couple scored the win of a lifetime when they learned that they won a $500,000 prize from the Lotto Max Extra prize draw. Karen Gordon and Morgan's Reese Hansen have said that they plan on celebrating their prize by taking a few trips, namely to see family on Vancouver Island and then going on vacation to Thailand. The couple made the winning purchase at the Kildala grocery store in Kitimat and ended up discovering the good news at a self-scanner before they confirmed their win with the retailer at the store. Coming up next, a troubling rise in young offenders. The federal, BC, and municipal governments are investing more than $5.4 million towards the construction of a new wastewater treatment facility in Prince Rupert. The joint statement from the governments say the work is being supported by the funding includes reconfiguration of lift stations and piping, as well as related electrical and mechanical work. The statement also says the new facility will be used in combination with created wetlands that provide a second level of water treatment that meets provincial and federal regulations. About $2.2 million of the funding comes from Ottawa, while the province is footing about $1.8 million. As could be expected due to the politics of last year, survey says less Canadians are choosing to travel to the States. Instead, interprovincial travel and keeping it local are the trends. Here's more.
Many Canadians changed their summer vacation plans to avoid crossing the U.S. border and instead opted to spend their tourism dollars in their home country. A Canadian travel survey by Angus Reid, sponsored by Moneris, found 26% of Canadians changed, postponed, or canceled their U.S. travel plans. That was good news for Canadian hotels, restaurants, and other businesses.
Domestic tourism as a spending vehicle to drive the economy is enormous.
The survey found that 30% of Canadians decided to travel to other provinces, while 44% decided to travel within their own province. The shift towards spending tourism dollars domestically helps boost the Canadian economy by millions of dollars a day.
When you think about businesses in Canada and merchants in Canada, tourism is so important to what they do.
Year over year, interprovincial spending across Canada increased by 5%. The territories increased 10%, Alberta 9%, and Saskatchewan increased 6%.
This is great news, and we're just very, very thankful to the Canadians who took this step, and they really talked with their actions.
Royal Roads University, a school of tourism and hospitality, says their industry in Canada is thriving with skilled workers needed in many areas. It says the American tourism market has seen a major decline, not just in individual travel, but also for conferences and school trips. Until political tensions with the U.S. eases, it's expected Canadians will continue to explore different regions of the country and spend their money here.
Well done, Canada. Well done for just behaving in a way that just really supports, who we are. We want to really support our local economies, and you saw that this year.
A rise in young offenders and youth violence is raising concerns in the city of Toronto. CTV's John Van Valley Rao reports.
Looking at the headlines from Toronto over the last year, it's been striking how young some of the suspects have been in several high-profile crimes and shootings.
It used to be we were all shocked and appalled when a 17 or 18-year-old got arrested for these types of offenses. Now we're seeing 12, 13, 14-year-olds involved in some very brutal crimes.
On Wednesday, police announced the arrest of a 16-year-old in connection with the shooting death of this 8-year-old killed by a stray bullet. It follows incidents including a 14-year-old charged in July with stabbing to death a senior in a parking lot. And last week, a 12-year-old was charged after a shooting in Markham. Toronto's police chief, troubled by it all, and says a striking percentage of accused murderers this year have been under 18.
We've had 30 homicides, which is an incredible decrease from previous years, yet we've had 13 young people charged. Incredibly disturbing numbers.
Complicating the picture, the number of young people arrested for firearms offenses has actually fallen in Toronto. Just over 100 so far this year, compared with 127 this time last year. And nationwide, the overall youth crime rate fell in 2024. Still, youth violent crime seems to be climbing.
One possibility.
This criminology professor says, in part, what needs to be looked at is whether gangs are recruiting young offenders to engage in extreme violence because they're sheltered by the justice system.
You go out and commit the homicide or the carjacking or the robbery, because if you do get caught, you're going to suffer less severe consequences than the adult members of the gang.
Toronto's police chief calling the situation very concerning and not just a policing issue, calling on all levels of government to find a solution. John Valley-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
Next, we'll take a look at your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, it'll be mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers, temperature steady at 12 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect showers and rain to stick around a while. Daily highs between 14 and 15 degrees, overnight lows between 10 and 13 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to be cloudy with a 60% chance of showers and a low of 13 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect some showers and overcast skies. Daily highs around 15-16 degrees, overnight lows between 9 and 12 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's looking cloudy with a 60% chance of showers and a low of 11 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect some showers till Monday when the sun will come out. Daily highs between 17 and 21 degrees, overnight lows between 5 and 11 degrees. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect, as well as bridge maintenance, road maintenance, utility work, construction work, and paving operations underway. On Highway 37, watch for construction work and roadside brushing. On Highway 37A, there's paving operations and a section with falling rocks. On the Niska Highway, watch for road construction and mowing. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, government hurdles for a veteran who needs a kidney. A retired veteran is speaking out as a bureaucratic policy has affected his ability to receive treatment. CTV's Yvonne Raymond shares the story.
A retired major's months-long wait to hear from Canada's minister responsible for Veterans Affairs ends with a formal rejection.
I think it is fundamentally inconceivable and inexcusable that Veterans Affairs is treating a veteran of 28 years of service to Canada in this manner, when I most need their service.
The Shawnigan Lake man wants the federal government to pay to bring a friend in Zimbabwe to Canada who's volunteering to donate his kidney when Bruce Sand's window for transplant opens up.
He said, "Are you sure about that?" And I said, "Yep, I'm sure about that." Bruce is somebody that I really admire.
Only the minister's letter says the department does not have authority to cover health-related travel for a third party. The funds are intended for the patient getting treatment.
The person who funds the King's purse is you and I, the taxpayer. Those taxpayer dollars are better spent in getting me a transplant than having me on dialysis for the rest of my life. Regardless of where the money is coming from, which pot it's coming from, it's still a taxpayer's dollar. And I don't think they've done that cost-benefit analysis.
The decorated veteran's Conservative MP is encouraging Sands' medical team to seek special authority through Veterans Affairs and for the minister to collaborate closely on every possible avenue. Sands says he also plans to petition for the rules to change.
I will not give up. I believe I owe it to those that I served with to continue with this fight until some sort of resolution is made.
Yvonne Raymond, CTV News, Shawnigan Lake.
The number of people experiencing homelessness in our country is growing, along with concerns for unhoused seniors. Allison Bamford takes a look at the issue.
Saskatoon's Salvation Army can be a safe haven or a stop along the way to permanent housing. And inside, workers have helped people of all ages.
We've had seniors here ranging from 50 to 95.
About 4% of the shelter's clients are seniors, up slightly from last year, a small number that still carries big concern.
That's not where any of us want to be at that stage in life.
27% of people experiencing homelessness in Canada are over the age of 50, 4% older than 65, an issue that some say is getting worse.
We are seeing a trend of increased seniors in our shelter population. It is a general trend, and in some cases, it's one of the fastest growing trends.
The rising cost of living and rent, along with the death of a spouse and loss of a second income, are all contributing factors.
So there's just a lot more pressures when people get older, when they're on fixed income and they have, higher medical needs.
Part of the increase is simply due to the homeless population aging, but experts say about half of unhoused seniors experience homelessness for the first time after the age of 55, and they come to shelters with very unique needs.
Their needs are more around mobility and maintaining health and, being able to use their walker or wheelchair.
Joe Humphreys is lead coordinator for the research project Aging in the Right Place, searching for solutions to specifically support seniors facing homelessness, one facet of a complicated crisis.
It can be overwhelming if you're trying to solve the whole thing all at once. So when we can make some progress, then we celebrate that and try to make more progress.
Small victories that will eventually add up. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Turning to the markets now, broad-based losses drove Canada's main stock index to close lower, while U.S. markets were mixed. The Canadian dollar fell slightly. The price of gold rose $12.10. Oil gained 32 cents. Natural gas rose 2 cents. Aluminum gained $32.50. In Toronto, the TSX was down 124 points. The Venture Index was up by almost 4 points. In New York, the Nasdaq rose by 98 points, and the Dow Jones dropped almost 274 points. Still ahead, a young athlete heals with hockey. A forestry company has won an injunction to halt a blockade against old-growth logging on Vancouver Island. A BC Supreme Court justice sided with Sawaquin Forestry's efforts against the blockade outside Port Renfrew, BC. The judge says the protesters have illegally obstructed the company's lawful access to the area and cannot impose their will by force. The Wilderness Committee calls the southern Vancouver Island Valley one of the most spectacular rainforests threatened by clear-cut logging. A man has been arrested and accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a Utah university. CTV's Joy Malbon has the details.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
With those words, authorities identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah as a suspect in connection with the targeted killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. After these images were released last night and a video of a suspect jumping from a rooftop, police say Robinson's father confronted his son and, with the help of a youth pastor, convinced him to turn himself in.
A family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
A family member told investigators Robinson had become more political, expressing anger in chat groups and to friends.
Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
Police found a high-powered rifle and bullet casings with disturbing messages. As for motive, here's what the governor said.
The clearest one that says catch fascist, there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. I think that speaks for itself.
Kirk, a husband and father, was a rock star in the MAGA movement, debating controversial subjects like transgender issues, and a fierce ally of Donald Trump, who broke the news on air.
I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did, Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this.
As Utah's governor pleaded for political healing.
This is our moment. Do we escalate or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice.
Robinson was arrested and charged with aggravated murder. He faces federal charges next week. Police believe he acted alone and is being held without bail. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
Finally tonight, we meet a young boy who hasn't let any obstacles get in the way of playing the sport he loves. Here's CTV's Brian McDonald.
Like plenty of other Canadian kids, 9-year-old Leo Knott is a hockey fanatic. What makes his relationship with the game different is that he's spent much of his life battling cancer.
When he got sick, it was just part of his medicine too. It just kept him going.
At the age of 4, Leo was diagnosed with a rare condition called Langerhans cell histiocytosis. Throughout his years of receiving treatments, playing sports has become a salvation of sorts.
As long as he's on the ice or on the ball field or playing lacrosse or playing soccer or swinging a golf club, he's the same as all other kids.
Well, I've played for a lot of teams.
These days, the budding young scorer has an additional goal in mind. He's one of a number of Maritime kids still in the running to become Sports Illustrated's Youth Athlete of the Year, which comes with a $25,000 grand prize. So far, he says one of his hockey highlights has to be the time he met Sid the Kid, his favorite player.
Well, I got to meet him and Nathan McKinnon one time, so that was really cool, and I have a jersey signed by him.
The sweater, signed by Sydney, hangs proudly in Leo's bedroom, which is more like a shrine to the game he loves most. When it comes to his health, Leo's dad says lately things have been going pretty well.
We're very stable. He's on a chemo pill, and everything is keeping it at bay right now. The doctors don't know how to get rid of it, but we know how to kind of deal with it right now.
With a new season on the ice just around the corner, Leo is getting set for his first year at the under-11 level with the County Islanders. And his cancer journey hasn't kept him from dreaming the same dream as any other kid who spends untold hours shooting on their net at home the way he does.
Probably to make it to the NHL one day.
Chasing goals on and off the ice and gaining fans along the way. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Cox Heath, Nova Scotia.
That's our news for this Friday. For more local news, you can visit us at CFTK-TV.com. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube or TikTok. Thanks for watching.